Chapter 1. A Chance Encounter. The setting. The Orion's Edge spaceport, known for its chaotic blend of alien cultures, languages, and businesses, stretched across the barren surface of Caltera 7, a mining colony at the edge of the Xyrix Nebula. The port was a kaleidoscope of sounds, smells, and sights that overwhelmed even seasoned travelers. Massive cargo ships lumbered in and out of the atmosphere, while small trader vessels zipped between docking bays. Neon signs written in multiple languages flashed advertisements for everything from interstellar delicacies to questionable body enhancements. Liam Harper, a human veterinarian turned frontier mechanic, sat in his modest clinic near the Central Market. The clinic was a humble establishment, a two-story prefab structure made of steel and reinforced polymers. The exterior bore a glowing hollow sign that read, Harper's Clinic. For all your exotic needs, complete with an animated paw print. Inside, the clinic was cramped but clean, filled with diagnostic equipment, storage racks lined with medical supplies, and a central examination table. Liam was tinkering with a malfunctioning neural translator, his hands deftly adjusting the delicate circuitry. Beside him lay a towering, lupin creature with silver fur and piercing amber eyes. Rex, his loyal companion. Rex was an Arandraxian wolf, a species known for its size, intelligence, and rumored telepathic abilities. Despite his fearsome appearance, Rex was a gentle giant who rarely left Liam's side. "Hold still, big guy," Liam muttered as he adjusted Rex's collar. "This thing's been acting up, and I don't want you startling any new clients." Rex let out a low huff, his ears twitching in irritation. An unusual visitor. The day had been quiet, with only a handful of customers dropping by to pick up supplies or ask for advice on caring for their exotic pets. Liam leaned back in his chair, wiping his hands on a rag. Just as he considered closing early, the clinic's front door slid open with a soft whoosh. A figure stepped inside, hesitating in the doorway. Liam's first thought was that she was a new species he hadn't encountered before. She was slender and delicate, with shimmering lavender skin that seemed to glow faintly under the clinic's lights. Her long, silver hair cascaded down her back, and her eyes were an intense shade of teal, darting around nervously. She wore a tattered cloak that barely concealed her thin frame, and her hands clutched the edges of the fabric tightly. The girl looked young, barely out of adolescence by human standards, but there was a weariness in her gaze that suggested she had seen more hardship than most. Liam stood, trying to appear non-threatening. "Welcome to Harper's Clinic. Can I help you?" The girl flinched at his voice, her gaze snapping to him. For a moment, she looked like she might bolt, but she took a shaky step forward. I need help," she said, her voice soft and musical, though laced with fear. Liam gestured to the chair by the examination table. "You've come to the right place. Have a seat, and tell me what's wrong." The girl hesitated, her eyes darting to Rex, who was still lying in the corner. At over 6 feet tall at the shoulder, Rex was an intimidating sight, and his amber eyes were fixed on the newcomer with curious intensity. "Don't worry," Liam said, noticing her fear. He gave Rex a reassuring pat. "He won't bite. He's just curious. Aren't you, buddy?" Rex let out a soft growl, not a warning, but a sound of acknowledgement, and rested his head on his paws. The girl swallowed hard but seemed to relax slightly. She took a tentative step forward, then another, before finally sinking into the chair. The story unfolds. "Thank you," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I didn't know where else to go." Liam pulled up a stool and sat across from her. "You don't look like you're from around here," he said gently. "What's your name?" She hesitated, her hands fidgeting with the hem of her cloak. "I'm Kayla," she said finally. "I come from Nervathus, in the Xyrix Nebula." Liam's eyebrows raised. Nervathus was a system known for its isolationist policies and strict control over who could enter or leave. "That's a long way from here," he said. "What brings you to Orion's Edge?" Kayla's gaze dropped to her hands. I had to leave. It wasn't safe anymore." Liam studied her, noting the bruises on her wrists and the faint scar along her jawline. He didn't press her for details, sensing that she wasn't ready to share. "Well, Kayla," he said, leaning back slightly, "you're safe here. What can I do for you?" Kayla hesitated, then reached into her cloak and pulled out a small bundle. She unwrapped it carefully, revealing a tiny, bird-like creature with vibrant green feathers and a long, feathery tail. The creature was clearly injured. Its wing bent at an unnatural angle, and it let out a weak chirp. "Her name is Lyric," Kayla said, her voice trembling. She got hurt when we escaped. Please, can you help her?" Liam's heart softened at the sight of the tiny creature. "Of course I can. Let's take a closer look." A gentle touch. Liam's hands were steady and practiced as he examined Lyric. The creature trembled under his touch, but he murmured soothingly, and Kayla watched in awe as he worked. He carefully scanned the wing with a portable diagnostic device, confirming that it was fractured but not beyond repair. "This isn't too bad," he said. "I'll need to set the bone and stabilize it, but she should recover in a few weeks." Kayla's eyes filled with relief. Thank you. Thank you so much." As Liam worked, he noticed that Kayla seemed to relax slightly, though her eyes still flicked nervously toward Rex every now and then. "So," he said, keeping his tone light, "what brings someone like you to a rough place like this?" Kayla hesitated, then looked down at her hands. "I didn't have a choice," she said quietly. "They were going to take me away. I couldn't let that happen." Liam frowned but didn't push. "Well, you're safe now," he said, "and Lyric's going to be fine. You can rest here for a while if you need to." Kayla looked up, her teal eyes wide. You'd let me stay?" Liam shrugged. "I've got space. And you look like you could use a break." Kayla blinked rapidly, as if fighting back tears. "Thank you. I don't know what to say." "You don't have to say anything," Liam said with a small smile. "Just take care of yourself and Lyric." A new beginning. By the time Liam finished stabilizing Lyric's wing, Kayla seemed more at ease. She even allowed Rex to approach, though she tensed when he sniffed her curiously. Rex, sensing her unease, licked her hand gently and retreated, earning a faint smile from Kayla. "You were right," she said softly. "He won't bite." Liam chuckled. "Told you. Rex might look scary, but he's a big softy." As the day turned to night, Kayla stayed in the clinic, helping Liam organize supplies and learning about his work. Though she was still wary, Liam could see the beginnings of trust in her eyes. For the first time in a long while, Liam felt like he was doing something meaningful, and as he watched Kayla cradle Lyric, he couldn't help but wonder what her story was and how much danger she might have brought to his doorstep. Chapter 2. Shadows of the Past. A fragile piece. The next morning, Liam woke to the soft sounds of movement in the clinic. For a moment, he wondered if he was dreaming, but the faint hum of machinery and the gentle chirping of Lyric reminded him that his life had taken an unexpected turn. Kayla had stayed the night, curled up in the corner of the clinic with Lyric nestled in her lap. Rex lay nearby, his watchful amber eyes keeping silent vigil. Liam stretched, groaning as he rolled out of his cot in the corner of the workshop. He found Kayla already awake, carefully feeding Lyric drops of water from a small vial. "Morning," Liam said, rubbing the sleep from his eyes. Kayla looked up, startled but relaxed when she saw it was him. "Good morning," she replied softly, her voice carrying a faint musical lilt. "I hope you don't mind. I didn't want to disturb you." "Not at all," Liam said with a wave of his hand. "Looks like Lyric's doing better already." Kayla nodded, a faint smile gracing her lips. "She's strong. She just needed a chance." "Don't we all?" Liam muttered, pulling on his jacket. "You hungry? I've got some ration packs in the back. Not exactly gourmet, but it'll do." Kayla hesitated, then nodded. "Thank you." As Liam prepared a simple breakfast, Kayla cautiously began to open up. She told him snippets of her story, how she had fled Nervathus, a strict and hierarchical world, after her family tried to sell her to a Zyrixian trading cartel in exchange for political power. She had escaped with Lyric, the only friend she had left, and had been on the run ever since. "I didn't know where to go," she admitted, her voice trembling. "I just kept moving, hoping I'd find a place where they couldn't find me." Liam listened quietly, his heart sinking. He'd seen cases like hers before, people running from systems that treated them as commodities rather than individuals. But this felt different. Kayla wasn't just running. She was hiding from something far more dangerous than a simple trade deal gone wrong. Unwelcome visitors. As the morning wore on, Liam returned to his work, repairing a broken hover harness for a local merchant. Kayla watched him with quiet curiosity, occasionally helping where she could. The atmosphere was peaceful, almost normal. But the peace was shattered when the clinic's front door slammed open. Liam turned to see a group of 3 alien men standing in the doorway. Their sharp, angular features and dark uniforms marked them as agents of the Zyrixian cartel. The leader, a tall man with mottled green skin and piercing yellow eyes, stepped forward, his gaze sweeping the room before landing on Kayla. "There you are," he said, his voice smooth but menacing. "You've caused us a lot of trouble, girl." Kayla froze, clutching Lyric tightly to her chest. "I don't know what you're talking about," she stammered. The leader sneered. "Don't play dumb. You belong to us. Now, be a good girl and come quietly." Liam stepped between them, his jaw tight. "I don't know who you are, but you're not taking her anywhere." The alien turned his attention to Liam, his sneer widening. "And who are you? Her protector? You're out of your depth, human. Step aside, and we'll pretend this never happened." Rex growled low in his throat, his massive form rising to stand protectively beside Liam. The aliens hesitated, clearly uneasy about the wolf-like creature, but the leader didn't back down. "You've got guts, I'll give you that," the alien said, "but guts won't save you." The fight. Before Liam could respond, the leader lunged forward, a glowing blade appearing in his hand. Liam dodged, narrowly avoiding the strike, and grabbed a nearby wrench. Rex leaped into action, his fangs bared as he charged at one of the other agents, sending the man sprawling. Kayla scrambled to the corner, clutching Lyric as the chaos unfolded. The aliens were well trained, but they hadn't expected resistance from a mechanic and his pet. Liam fought with surprising skill, using his tools and the clinic's cramped space to his advantage. Rex, meanwhile, moved like a predator, his powerful jaws snapping at their attackers. One by one, the aliens were subdued. The leader, now bleeding and furious, glared at Liam as he struggled to his feet. "You've made a big mistake, human," he spat. "The cartel doesn't forgive or forget." Liam stepped forward, his expression hard. "Neither do I. Now get out." The leader hesitated, then motioned for his men to retreat. "This isn't over," he growled before disappearing out the door. Trust earned. As the dust settled, Kayla approached Liam, her eyes wide with fear and gratitude. You didn't have to do that." Liam shrugged, wiping sweat from his brow. "Yeah, well, I don't take kindly to bullies. Besides, I couldn't just stand by and let them take you." Kayla's voice trembled. "You don't understand. They'll come back. They'll send more." Liam crouched down to meet her gaze, his expression firm. "Then we'll be ready. You're not alone in this, Kayla." Her eyes filled with tears, and for the first time since she had arrived, she allowed herself to believe that she might be safe. "Thank you," she whispered. Rex patted over, nuzzling Kayla's hand gently. She hesitated, then reached out to stroke his fur. "You were amazing," she said softly. "Both of you." Liam smiled. "Told you he doesn't bite." Kayla laughed weakly, a sound that was equal parts relief and disbelief. For the first time in a long while, she felt hope. A plan in motion. Later that evening, as Kayla rested with Lyric in the clinic's back room, Liam sat with Rex, deep in thought. The encounter with the cartel had made one thing clear. Staying on Orion's edge wasn't an option. If Kayla was going to be safe, they needed a plan. "Prime," Liam muttered to himself, glancing at the small AI module embedded in his workbench. "We're going to need an exit strategy." The module blinked to life, its synthetic voice calm and precise. Analyzing. "A safe route off-planet will require stealth and evasion capabilities. I recommend acquiring a cloaked transport vessel." Liam sighed. "That's easier said than done, but we'll figure it out." He glanced toward the back room, where Kayla was humming softly to Lyric, her voice a hauntingly beautiful melody. "We have to," he said quietly. "They're counting on us." Chapter 3. The Escape Plan. A growing bond. The clinic was quiet as the night wore on. The only sounds the hum of equipment and the occasional rustle from the back room where Kayla rested with Lyric. Liam sat at his workbench, Rex lying at his feet, deep in thought. The day's events had left him more determined than ever to protect Kayla, but the looming threat of the Zyrixian cartel weighed heavily on his mind. "We can't stay here," Liam muttered to himself, glancing at Rex. They'll come back, and next time, it won't just be 3 of them. Rex let out a soft growl, his amber eyes narrowing as if he understood the gravity of the situation. Kayla appeared in the doorway, her lavender skin glowing faintly in the dim light. She hesitated before speaking. "You don't have to do this, you know. I can find somewhere else to go." Liam turned to her, shaking his head. "That's not an option. You saw how persistent they were. If you run, they'll find you. You're safer if we face this head-on." Kayla hugged Lyric closer, the tiny creature chirping softly in her arms. "But how? They'll have ships, weapons, more men. We don't stand a chance." Liam leaned back in his chair, a determined glint in his eyes. "I have a plan. It's risky, but it might just work." The plan. Over the next hour, Liam laid out his strategy. The Zyrixian cartel maintained a small fleet of ships in orbit around Orion's edge, one of which a transport vessel had a cloaking device that made it nearly invisible to scanners. Liam proposed infiltrating the cartel's orbital dock, commandeering the transport, and using it to escape the system undetected. Kayla stared at him in disbelief. "You want to steal one of their ships? Are you insane?" "Probably," Liam admitted with a grin, "but it's the best shot we've got. The clinic's too exposed, and you won't last long in the open. With that cloaking device, we can disappear for good." Kayla's expression was a mix of fear and admiration. "And you're willing to risk your life for someone you barely know?" Liam's smile faded, replaced by a serious expression. "You don't deserve to be hunted like this, and I'm not about to let them take you or Lyric." Kayla's eyes filled with gratitude, but she quickly brushed it away. "All right," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "If you're sure about this, I'll help." The infiltration. The orbital dock was a massive structure, a sprawling network of platforms and hangars that hovered above Orion's edge. The dock was heavily guarded, with automated turrets and syndicate patrols watching every corner. Liam and Kayla approached it in the rust bucket, using its aged appearance to blend in with the countless other vessels coming and going. "All right," Liam said, glancing at Kayla as he guided the ship toward an auxiliary hangar. "We'll dock here and make our way to the transport. Rex will stay with the ship in case things go south." Kayla nodded, her hands gripping her cloak tightly. "What about the guards?" Liam smirked, pulling a small device from his pocket. "I rigged this EMP to knock out their surveillance systems. It'll buy us some time." The rust bucket landed with a metallic groan, and Liam and Kayla disembarked, keeping to the shadows. Liam activated the EMP, and the dock's cameras flickered and went dark. "Let's move," he whispered, leading Kayla through the maze of corridors. A dangerous encounter. They reached the transport vessel without incident, but as they approached the loading ramp, they were confronted by a squad of syndicate guards. The leader, a burly alien with reptilian features, snarled at them. "Who the hell are you?" the guard demanded, raising his weapon. Liam raised his hands in mock surrender. "Just here for a routine inspection." The guard sneered. "Nice try, human. You're coming with us." Before the guards could react, Kayla stepped forward, her markings glowing brightly. She extended her hands, and a wave of energy rippled through the air, knocking the guards off their feet. Liam stared at her in shock. "What was that?" Kayla looked at him, her expression a mix of fear and determination. "I'll explain later. Let's go." They boarded the transport, sealing the ramp behind them. Liam sprinted to the cockpit and began powering up the ship systems. Alarms blared throughout the dock as syndicate reinforcements closed in. "Hold on," Liam shouted as the ship's engines roared to life. The transport lifted off, its cloaking device activating just as the syndicate patrols arrived. The chase. The syndicate wasn't ready to give up. As Liam piloted the cloaked transport through the asteroid belt surrounding Orion's edge, syndicate ships pursued them relentlessly, their sensors scanning for any trace of their quarry. Kayla sat beside him, her hands trembling as she watched the chaos unfold. "They're going to catch us." "Not if I have anything to say about it," Liam said, gripping the controls tightly. "Prime, activate the ship's countermeasures." The AI module in Liam's pocket beeped. "Deploying countermeasures. Initiating evasive maneuvers." Flares shot from the transport, confusing the syndicate's targeting systems. Liam weaved through the asteroids with precision, narrowly avoiding collisions as he pushed the ship to its limits. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the The Syndicate ships fell back, their scans coming up empty. The transport emerged from the asteroid belt into the open void of space. Kayla let out a shaky breath. We made it. Liam smiled, his adrenaline finally subsiding. Told you we'd pull it off. A new beginning. The transport's cloaking device ensured they remained undetected as they left the Xyrix Nebula behind. For the first time in weeks, Kayla felt a sense of safety she hadn't known was possible. As they sat together in the cockpit, Kayla turned to Liam. Thank you. For everything. I don't know how I'll ever repay you. Liam shrugged. You don't have to. Just stay safe. Maybe teach me how you did that energy wave thing back there. Kayla smiled, the first genuine smile he'd seen from her. It's complicated, but I'll try. Rex padded into the cockpit, his tail wagging as he nuzzled Kayla's hand. She laughed softly, scratching behind his ears. Where do we go now? She asked. Liam stared out at the stars, a sense of purpose filling him. Anywhere but here. We'll find a place where they can't touch us. And if they try, well, we've got Rex. Kayla laughed, and for the first time, she felt like her future wasn't just about survival, it was about hope. Chapter 4. A Future in the Stars. The Syndicate's Trap. The cloaked transport cruised silently through the void, its advanced systems ensuring that no sensor could detect its presence. Kayla and Liam were finally free, or so they thought. Unbeknownst to them, the Xyrixian Syndicate had anticipated their escape. As the transport neared the edge of the Xyrix Nebula, a massive blockade of Syndicate ships emerged from hyperspace. Contact detected, Prime announced through the ship's console. Multiple vessels approaching at high speed. Cloak compromised. Kayla's face went pale as she stared at the radar screen. Dozens of red blips surrounded them, each representing a heavily armed Syndicate warship. They found us, she whispered. Liam's jaw clenched. Of course they did. They're not about to let their prize slip away that easily. The comm system crackled to life, and the voice of the Syndicate leader from the orbital dock echoed through the cockpit. This is your last chance, Riker. Surrender the girl and the artifact, and we'll let you live. Resist, and you'll die. Liam exchanged a glance with Kayla. Artifact, he mouthed. Kayla's hands trembled as she clutched the edges of her cloak. They mean me. My energy. My abilities. They want to use me. Liam's eyes hardened. Not on my watch. The battle for freedom. The Syndicate ships opened fire, their plasma cannons lighting up the darkness. The transport shields held for now, but the strain was evident. Liam's hands flew over the controls, pushing the ship's engines to their limits. Prime, I need options, he shouted. Recommend utilizing the experimental graviton drive. High probability of destabilizing enemy formation. Liam grinned despite the danger. Now you're talking. Kayla, hold on to something. Prime activated the graviton drive, and the transport shuddered as its systems rerouted power. A pulse of gravitational energy rippled outward from the ship, disrupting the Syndicate fleet. Smaller vessels spun out of control, colliding with one another, while larger ships struggled to maintain their positions. Taking advantage of the chaos, Liam piloted the transport toward a nearby asteroid field. If we can lose them in there, we might have a shot. Kayla nodded, her voice steady despite her fear. I trust you. A desperate gamble. The asteroid field was a labyrinth of massive rocks, each one large enough to crush their ship with a single impact. Liam guided the transport through the debris with razor-sharp focus, weaving between obstacles as plasma bolts streaked past them. Shields at 32%, Prime reported. Sustained damage will result in system failure. Liam cursed under his breath. We need to end this now. Kayla closed her eyes, her markings glowing faintly as she concentrated. There's something I can do, she said softly, but it's risky. Liam glanced at her. What are you talking about? My energy. It's connected to the artifact inside me. If I release it, I can create a shockwave strong enough to disable their fleet. But it might hurt me. Liam's hands tightened on the controls. We'll find another way. There isn't time, Kayla said, her voice firm. This is our only chance. Rex let out a low growl, sensing the tension in the room. Kayla knelt beside him, placing a hand on his massive head. Take care of him, she whispered, before turning back to Liam. I'll need your help to focus the energy, she said. Can you do that? Liam nodded, his heart pounding. "Tell me what to do." The power within. Kayla sat cross-legged on the floor of the cockpit, her hands resting on her knees. Liam placed his hands on her shoulders, feeling a faint hum of energy beneath his fingertips. Kayla's markings glowed brighter, illuminating the room with a soft lavender light. "Focus on me," Kayla said, her voice calm and steady. "Help me channel it." Liam closed his eyes, allowing himself to connect with her energy. He felt a surge of warmth, followed by a rush of raw power that made his head spin. The ship trembled as the energy built, and Kayla's voice echoed in his mind. "Now," she whispered. A blinding pulse of light erupted from Kayla, passing through the ship and into the void. The energy wave expanded rapidly, striking the Syndicate fleet with devastating force. Ships short-circuited and exploded, their systems overwhelmed by the surge. The blockade dissolved into chaos, leaving the transport free to escape. A new dawn. When the light faded, Kayla slumped forward, her breathing shallow. Liam caught her before she fell, his heart racing. "Kayla, are you okay?" She opened her eyes slowly, a faint smile on her lips. "We're free," she whispered. Rex patted over, nuzzling her gently as Liam helped her to her feet. "You scared the hell out of me," he said, his voice thick with emotion. Kayla chuckled weakly. "I'm fine. Just tired." Prime's voice broke the moment. "Enemy fleet neutralized. Recommend immediate departure." Liam guided the transport out of the asteroid field, setting a course for uncharted space. The stars stretched out before them, endless and full of possibility. A future together. As the ship cruised through the void, Kayla sat beside Liam in the cockpit, Lyric perched on her shoulder. She looked out at the stars, her eyes filled with wonder. "Thank you," she said softly, "for everything." Liam smiled, his hand resting on Rex's head. "You don't have to thank me. We're in this together now." Kayla glanced at him, her expression hopeful. "So, where do we go from here?" "Anywhere we want," Liam said. "The galaxy's a big place, and I have a feeling we'll find somewhere we belong." As the transport disappeared into the stars, Kayla leaned against Liam, a sense of peace washing over her for the first time in years. Together, they had faced the darkness and come out stronger, and now, the future was theirs to shape.